Recording now. And I'm gonna put on our backdrop, and then I'm gonna go live on Facebook and also on Zoom itself. So you can either switch off your video, or you want to mute, or you can stay on. It's up to you. Okay, so and then at 10 sharp, I'm just gonna start talking, and then it's time to come back on. So I'll be.
Should we switch off the camera and also the mute?
It's up to you. You can leave it on or what. It should be okay.
Okay, but we can also chat lah if we want to.
Yes, when people start coming in, I think there's going to be some people saying hello, apa semua, so you can start doing that. All right. Okay. All right, so it's 10 o'clock and we're gonna start right now. I see a few familiar names here. Hi, Jane. Hi, long time no see, and thanks for joining us. We got Dr. John, we got Mr. Chortek, our friend in Rotary, and Melvin from STV. Hi, Melvin. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, so and we've got our speakers as well, but I'll be introducing them later. Hi everyone, welcome to the 27th edition of the Tuesday Talk Live by Place Borneo. To those of you watching on Zoom and on TV Sarawak and Place Borneo Facebook, welcome and thanks for joining us. My name is Mona Abdul Manap and I'll be your host, and Tuesday Talk Live is a platform for us to share ideas, information, and solutions during, well, I guess these difficult times. Now, according to the Trust Radius 2021 Women in Tech report, 72% of women in technology say they are outnumbered by men 2 to 1 or more. So for every 2 men, you only see 1 lady, and 26% of them said that they are being outnumbered by 5 to 1. So there's 5 men for every 1 lady that's working in technology or more. And a study from Accenture and Girls Who Code found that half of the young women who go into tech jobs leave the field by the age of 35. So not many of them stay. So what's the reason? How do you get into that if there's so few of us in there? So we're talking about female innovators with our 2 women in technology here. So what drove them there? What drove them to technology? What challenges did they face? So if you or your daughter or a female friend or family member is thinking of going to technology, what can they do? So you can learn from these ladies today. And before that, as usual, those of you on Zoom, you know the drill. You can ask your questions on the Q&A option or in the chat box. And those of you on Facebook, just type your questions in the chat box and we'll be able to pick it up from there. Now, let me just arrange my screen. Right. So we've got here 2 speakers on the screen with us. First one I'd like to introduce is Ai-Ching Goh, co-founder and CEO of PictoChart. It's a visual communications tool serving over 18 million people worldwide. That's 18 million, all right? And I actually use PictoChart myself. I've used it before. I think it's amazing. They're based in Penang. And yep, so we all miss Penang food right now. So welcome to the show, Ai-Ching. And
Hey, Mona, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Next one, we've got Anita Krishnan. She's Global Sales and Partnership Director at Evenesis. So we also use Evenesis. It's an event technology. So they've got registration, abstract submission. So those of you in the industry, you know what these are for. And she's been in the industry, but decided to dive. She's been in the business events industry and the events or tourism industry, but she went into technology. In the form of Evenesis. She loves football and tennis and stayed up the whole night watching Euro 2020 and Wimbledon. So I hope you got enough sleep. Welcome, Anita.
Thank you, Mona, for having me.
No worries. Okay, now as usual, I'm just going to start with the speakers, just doing a bit of introduction, and then we'll dive into the questions. In the meantime, you guys think of your questions and put them on the Q&A option. All right. So I'm going to start with Ai-Ching.
Yeah, sure. So I am the co-founder of both, and Mona, you've introduced me with PictoChart. So PictoChart, we're like an online, like you mentioned, visual communication tool that basically helps you create all kinds of visual stories for professional and work needs. And we also actually have another product right now, which is Picto Story, and that helps basically to take such recordings as the one that we're doing right now, and then we can split it up, clip it very quickly, so that you can create 5-minute like snippets on social media as well. So my team and I were actually entirely remote now. We don't have an office anymore, not just because of the pandemic, but even after the pandemic, we're not going back to an office. And we've been working, with global customers from the first day, basically, of starting the company.
Wow, that's amazing. I think a lot of technology companies, it's easier for you guys to go into that, I guess, because everything's online, right? And you said it was Picto Story. Was that the second one?
That's right. Yeah.
Amazing.
Just launched this earlier this year. Yeah.
I think a lot more conferences are actually using those kind of tools right now. So when they have talks or conferences, someone will be there to actually do up the story and then post it later.
Yeah, that's right. So
Okay, next one we've got Anita. Go ahead.
Hello, hi everyone. Good morning, all. Thank you for having me again, Mona. I'm Anita, so I'm Global Sales and Partnership Director. So from Innovators, and what we actually do is from event technology, and we have actually pivoted during the pandemic. So we are actually able to do virtual conferences, virtual exhibitions, and last year we've actually managed to do more than 600 virtual events because most of our clients have actually pivoted. So we've managed to do more than 600 virtual events, and we have a couple more coming up soon for this year as well. So yeah.
Sorry, I was just fixing the screen. Oh, thanks, Anita. And I saw that Yusno is the founder, the owner, the CEO of Innovators, and he is also here on the show with us. So thanks for joining us, Yusno. All right, so we're just gonna dive into this, and I'm just gonna start with well, what got you started in technology and whatever that you're doing right now? Why did you go into it? I-Ching, we'll go with you first.
yeah, it wasn't like, I always aspired to be an entrepreneur. In fact, I really came across this and stumbled upon it by like happenstance almost. So I was in a corporate job, I was doing marketing, and I wasn't feeling very fulfilled. So the first thing that I wanted to do as I came out of this was like, it was a very existential question, like what kind of company or what kind of work do I want to be doing for the rest of my life? And this was more than 10 years ago. So because my husband and I didn't have an answer back then, so we decided to start our own consulting practice. So we built websites for people. We did that for a while. I was looking for even more clients through like digital and inbound marketing. And it was when I came across the whole concept of infographics and thought that it was very interesting. So we wanted to try building it out, our own tools, so that other people can also be using it instead of having to learn something like Adobe. So that was how we came up with the idea. But as you can hear, it's like one thing after another, not something that we intentionally, like since I was 10, I wanted to be a tech entrepreneur and things like that. Wasn't the case at all.
Oh, so, wow. Yeah, I think that's great. And I think those things that happen by chance are the best because you didn't really expect them to happen. And I think a lot more people now would be thinking of going into technology just because of how the environment has changed. Everything is now online or you need technology right now. So I'm sure a lot of people are thinking to go into technology and they would want to learn from you guys. How about you, Anita? How did you didn't start in technology? But what made you go into technology?
Yeah, no, I did not also start in technology. So I actually had a lot of experience on organizing events. So I was actually organizing events previously for, God knows, 15, 16 years. And then same as I-Ching as well, I did stumble a bit. And then I was thinking like, okay, you had a lot of challenges when you're organizing even way back. Yeah. So now it's more about like everybody knows what is online registration, what is RSVP invitations, and what is virtual. I think 2 years back, half of them don't even know what is Zoom actually. So now everybody is like, Zoom, I know what is that. So previously when I was in event managing events, running events, we had some kind of issues more on the tech part because always we forgot that technology does not replace you. It is an enabler. So when I actually entered into the technology industry, but event was still my passion, running events and organizing events. So I wanted to know, okay, from the technology perspective, how can I make the event better by using technology, you see? So that makes me to actually move to Innovators, and Innovators has given me a platform to grow and to be who I am right now. And being in the sales and partnership a position has to, of course, you need to know how on how the technology works. But at the same time, you also need to know how to sell and market. And being women, we are more, the way that we actually bring ourselves up, and then the compassion and the intuitive, the way we talk I would say we are more better lah compared to men. Men
Oh,
are more like, yes, I have this job, and then they go bang, 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 and then but we are really good at negotiating and all that. So in that way, I really enjoy working in this technology industry and also in Innovators. And we have, I think, about 50% right now, women and also men. So we're kind of like, working as a team, and there we go. So yeah.
yeah, I think some people might not be happy there when you said that women are better at sales or marketing, but in some ways, I do agree with you. And sometimes we're a bit too compassionate. It means we give in too much when we negotiate with people, but that's what clients like sometimes. They want to feel like, you're giving a lot to them. So it's worth their money. So, I think you mentioned that sort of discovered that you wanted to make life easier. Obviously, for yourself, when you had this tool, Chit-chat, then it will be easier for you to do infographics, right? Infographics, and then other people could use it. But how did you had no idea how to actually build a software. So how did you start from there?
Yeah. So my husband and I joined an accelerator, actually a tech accelerator. There are tons of them now, whether online or in person. So we went with them and then kind of learned the very basics of like, what is lean, what is all of the like metrics, how do you even measure like what exactly is a SaaS product, where a SaaS product, which means software as a service. So instead of paying, you remember back in the days, you used to pay like for a Microsoft Office license, that would be, I don't know, a couple of hundreds of 1,000, and that's it, one off, and you have that version 2012, and you're locked in it forever. Now, these days, softwares don't really work that way anymore. They charge you on a monthly basis because that then helps them to have a sustainable revenue, and they keep updating the software for you. So we learned a lot about all of these things, like just the very basics of how to start a company even there. And then we came back, continue building the prototype, and continue learning and failing and learning and failing all along the way until now.
And my next question is, I'm sure you guys faced some challenges. I think maybe you want to share with us what were the challenges when you first started? It's being totally new to you, and I'm sure a lot of people are thinking going to something that's probably unthought of before for them personally. So what were the challenges and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think the challenges, to be honest, running a company or a business, and this doesn't matter whether it's a restaurant or, we're talking about tech business, the same, like the principles are almost the same. I felt that now looking back, what was kind of scary was not knowing what I didn't know. If that made sense, like last time I remember when I was at school, I kind of got that a lot. And my friends would be like, I'm really scared for the exam tomorrow because I don't even know what I don't know. Like, because you feel so unprepared for it. And that's the same thing about being an entrepreneur. It's like you're doing something you've never ever done before. You're suddenly now responsible for the payroll of multiple people. You're trying to figure out, not just on the finances, how do I make ends meet? You have to figure out a product market fit. In other words, the service or the product that you're building, do people actually really, really want it? And then you're trying to figure out, there's a lot of like emotional and pressure, I think, as well. Like, just from the 2 or 3 things that I've mentioned, and then you have your responsibility towards your customers. You have to like figure out yourself what kind of like team you want to build, what kind of product you want to build. I mean, like there's a lot, like there's the design, there's the engineering, like there's so many things, and all of it, you kind of need to know a little bit of everything. And that makes it really, really challenging. I think if I were to restart my whole journey again, apart from going to accelerator, which I do recommend for most people. Most people, I say that because some people, they have actually read so much of, they've been attending so many events that I'm just like, can you all just build your prototype and then test it instead of like going through another accelerator? It doesn't help. But is to actually read a lot. I'm not just talking about books, yes, definitely. But I'm also talking about just go out there and subscribe to a couple of like product management type of newsletters, like online, read a ton on Twitter and all that, and you learn a lot, like just by going through other people's lessons. I would have done a lot more of that, I think, in the beginning. I did already read a lot, but I felt like I could have still done more, instead of just building in the early days.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably go into that. But I do agree with you. Reading, I feel like is one of the most important thing that one can do, because you can never, learn too much. There's just so much that you need to know. How about you, Anita? When you first joined, I mean, you didn't know anything about event technology. So how did you, I mean, you went into marketing and sales, so women are supposed to be better, right? So how do you sell something that you're not familiar with?
Okay, it all depends on the product as well. So as since CEO is here, so I'm going to talk a little bit story about him as well. So when I actually joined, first I was a bit skeptical. Seriously, to tell you honestly, I was very skeptical. Oh my God, technology! Oh gosh, I have no background. Am I doing the right decisions and all that? But then he said, like, no, you come and test it out the technology first. It is user friendly. So if you can do it with no knowledge at all, then you are able to actually sell it as well. So I give it a go, because what's the worst thing is going to happen, right? So the principle is always just remember, even for the younger ones, the students, just dive. And then you just have to see what is the worst thing is going to happen to you see? So for me, I was like, what's the worst thing is going to happen to me? Probably I'm just going to say, oh my God, I'm stuck at technology. Let's just get out from here, So that is the worst thing that's going to happen. So I gave it a try, and then I actually tested out myself. So it was really friendly, because you're talking about the front end. Yeah, we're not talking about the coding. Okay, so it is more on you connecting to your clients or your customers. Okay, me as a customer, if I am an event organizer, am I able to pull this off by myself using this technology? So of course, a little bit of reading is important. Do about research and understand about the other competitors' markets and all that. But then I give it a try, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that technology is this easy, you see. So then when you had this comfort that you are actually comfortable on seeing the first technology. To me, this was the first technology from the back end, yeah. So I was like, oh my God, this looks tough. But then when I tried out, it was really easy. So then you had the confidence, and then you go further. So that is how I actually got myself this one. And then based on that, when you go into the virtual world, and then you have more technology in it, then you can able to actually embrace it, because you already have the foundation. How does it work? So from there, you could actually grow, and then bits by bits, do some readings, research, and then you already knew, okay, this is not as hard as we think, from the outer world, you see. So even if you look at those days, we are talking about fax, and then suddenly it moved to scanners. It's the same notion, you see. Even like phones, we don't have any phones, and now everybody is like, oh, we're not even using cameras right now. Everything is phone. So it's kind of like it keeps changing. The world is keep changing. The trends is keep changing quite fast, really fast, rapidly. So you just need to embrace, and then keep going with how the world is, so in that way you will have confidence. You can actually go for that. It is nothing to be scared of when you look at the word technology.
Yeah.
So,
And right now in this current situation, a lot of events are going virtual. I mean, that's right up your alley, Event Assist, and you guys are doing that. And a lot of things are just, you just need technology. You cannot survive at all without technology right now, even at home. As simple as staying at home and having a Zoom meeting, you also need to learn how to actually switch on Zoom. So we had a really good experience. Our Rotary Club meeting, when we had Zoom, all the members are at least 50 years old above, or 60, and some are 90 plus, so, and they have to learn how to switch on Zoom and sit down in front of them and meet people. And so technology is just part of our lives right now. So Anita, from in Event Assist, what do you think was one of the most innovative products that you guys produced during the lockdown, and what was your role in it?
Oh gosh, we had a lot of actually initiatives that we did since last year. So when everybody was in lockdown mode, we were kind of like, okay, what are we going to do now? So there's no events happening, and then what are you going to do now? So we actually, first up, we did some kind of a CSR, because the time that we had lockdown was actually in March, and then you had your Raya coming up. So that was the first festival that everybody is going to experience staying at home. And then when you say Raya, it's balik kampung, so you have to do that. and then everybody needs to like, oh gosh, I have to stay at home. And then the one thing that I always wanted to do is the bazaar. You know, we're going to miss the bazaar for the first time ever. You know, so what the whole team decided to do is, let's do something to give back. So we've actually created a portal called Jom Cari Kia. And that was the same time that the PM was actually mentioning about the Kia. I think that's the first press release. They were talking about Makcik Kia.
Kia, yeah.
So we used that term, and then we actually created Jom Cari Kia. So it was a free portal. So everybody who's actually having food, meals, cakes at home and all that, they are able to actually put in their food there and then market it for all these people. And then they can actually get it from online. So they can just contact or SMS, and then they get their food. So we wanted to do something, give back during the fasting month, which is the most holiest month, I would believe. And then we wanted to give something back again. So that was the first initiative that we did. And then we also did another one. It's called If Stands, which is for the social distancing. So for you to actually to social distance along. So we had the camera, CCTV, where you can actually track and make sure that everybody is not, because that was the first time that everybody trying to, you know, in a way, okay, this is the new norm. Everybody talking about normal baru. It's easy to say, you know, but then to follow and adhere to the rules is a bit tough. So we did that, and then we already had our Innovators registration system. But what we did is we moved into 3.0. So we made it much more better. And then we can actually cater for the virtual vote. As what I've mentioned earlier, we had 600 virtual conferences, virtual events held last year. So you need to pivot quick, you know, so you can't, yes, Zoom is there. Yes, you know, other platforms are there as well. But at the same time, we decided like, what more can we do? You know, so we built our own virtual platform, which is suitable to do conferences for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. You want poster abstract, poster papers? Yes, let's put it there. You want to talk to the exhibitors? Yes, let's do it there. You know, something that we did research, you know, we can't just simply just do it. So we did research. What are you looking for in 1 or 2 years down the road? Because we need to think ahead and you have to plan ahead, you know. So are we just going to sit and wait to hoping that the COVID is just going to disappear? Or are we going to do something about it? So that is what we did. So we have a lot of initiatives on that. So we come up with a virtual platform, which took us about 3 months to build it. And then by this year, February also, we have actually launched it. And there was tons of, we actually, in a way that we are happy. And also that the clients or whoever, the associations or the corporate companies, the GLCs, everybody is able to organize events even during this pandemic time. So sometimes we kind of like, even for Euro, just say for Euros, yeah. So when I was watching it, you have so many people in the stadium as if there's no COVID at all, you know. And then we were like sitting down here in the house and like, oh my God, you know, what the hell? You know, so in a way, it's like we got to pivot and then we got to go like, okay, faster, you know, so we have to do it, you know, and people are already moving fast. And we can't even go from here to what, Malacca, you know, so that's kind of like a bummer lah. But whatever that we can do right now to get the industry going, we have to do it, you know, so we can't just sit and wait and then hoping to, every day we just switch on to the news. Okay, is it going down? Is it going down? You know, so
from your point of view, it was because of you know, like a need, and because you're close to the industry, so obviously that's your job, I guess, in Innovators, right? You guys are serving the industry, so you could develop. So that's where the train of thought was when you actually develop all these new products. How about you, Ai Ching? Like I would like to go into like, how did you actually come about with the idea for this story? Was it the one? So how did you come up with that, and what was, you know, like the train of thoughts that were going? How did you actually think about coming into this and eventually developing it?
Yeah, actually, we some people thought like we were quite opportunistic in the sense, like, you know, looking at pandemic and then the amount of like video and webinars that we're all creating. But that wasn't actually the case. We did. I wish we had the foresight and we knew it earlier. But so what happened was, because we're positioning ourselves as a business storytelling tool, and because of that, we were constantly looking for new ways of doing storytelling. The initial idea, in fact, wasn't video. We were going to go with something like a no-code page, which basically means like a website, and very immersive type of experience and storytelling that you can get out of a website. But then we decided against it for various reasons, and we felt that video was more portable. And on top of that, we just felt that in general, when it comes to storytelling, it really helps. Video really helps. Like you can convey your emotions, through all of this, like not just gestures, but also the tonality of your voice and all that. Something that we felt a plain website or a visual wouldn't necessarily be able to do as much. So it was emotive, basically. So then we looked into the video space and was very, very crowded. So we thought about this concept where people and lots of people, we were hoping were going to do, either webinars or live talks, etc. And they would need quick ways to, you can't put basically a live video, you can't really put it back on Facebook in a 1 hour long format because nobody's going to watch that. But if you had that in like 5 minute, 3-minute clip, like the most important highlights where the captions are on and people can read them, even if it's not, if they're like silently scrolling, that would be quite helpful basically to help, that video to get even more eyeballs. So that was the idea. That's what we're building right now. We're validating it. So there's still some parts that, like there's some parts we got right, there's some parts we got wrong. So we're still, iterating right now.
Okay, so that came about because your main aim for PictoCharts are actually business storytelling. So it's a business storytelling tool, and PictoCharts are more in terms of presentations, I guess, when you want to do, PowerPoint presentations. But this is more of video because everyone is on Zoom and meetings and video conferencing and virtual conferences like what Anita was talking about. So it's a natural progression of sorts, I guess. And I guess talking to your clients, you also find out what they want, and you roughly know what they want because you've been talking to them a lot, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So well, we're talking about women in tech. So we're sort of leaving out the men here. So I'm gonna ask you guys, like, have you had any sort of gender discrimination because you guys are women in technology, which is deemed as an industry that's more male dominated? So I'm sure if you attend, say, a tech conference, most of them would be males or men. Or when you meet with clients, would they sort of think that, would this person know what she's talking about because this is technology and she's a woman? Have you encountered any of those? Anita, you're nodding your head. Have you?
Okay, let's see this. So I wasn't really discriminated on that part actually. So, but the perception of people like, oh, tech means it's men world, it's not a woman world. But then technology is actually encompasses a huge thing. It's not like tech means it's coding. You see, it's not only that. It's about having a good product. Say, so as a male dominant, say, for example, you have a very good product. But if you do not know how to sell or market the product is just going to sit at your desk or in your office, right? For all it means, you see. So it is actually a bits and pieces of everything. So even if you have a good product, you need to able to actually sell it. So as a woman, so from which is our strength, as I mentioned earlier as well. So from our side, you need to put yourself in the customer's shoes, not from the coder's shoes. Okay. So when you put yourself in the customer's shoes, am I going to purchase that? That is the first thing you're going to ask. So when you're able to do that, and you're able to convince the client because you are actually putting yourself as a customer, so then you're able to actually do great in technology. So it's not that some of I've noticed even in India, you have about 40 to 50% of graduates, female graduates are actually taken, all the graduates are all in IT technology. Okay, but when it comes to employment, half of them are still unemployed. So you see, so that's because maybe it's because of the coding, So for other students or any other ones who are actually interested to, I would like to go into technology, there is a lot of other various, not only the coding part that you have to look up, or maybe you're afraid that, this is male dominant, I don't think so I can do it. So you don't have to do that. So in my case, that is what actually happened, So my team, all of us are females. We are able to sell. technology, and we're able to convince the clients as well. So it's all about know-how, and then you have to use layman terms. You cannot use techie terms and then just to show off to your client that, hey, I am so good at technology, man. But then when you talk about, all of these techie terms, you as a client, the clients are not technology experts, so they don't know, so they'll be like, okay, what are you talking about? Okay, this is too much for me. Okay, I don't want, so that kind of thing. So, and because we are in the event industry, you already know who is your clients. So your clients are those who wants to just organize events. Those days it's much easier to organize events, go to hotel, book the hotel, yep, done. You have your LED screen. Okay, jalan, So now you have to do hybrid. So how do you do hybrid? So that kind of knowledge on that techie, it would actually help for you to sell, but at the same time, you still need to know the basis of how technology works, how does the system works, the back end and all that. And if your system is user-friendly, then anybody can actually use it. So in that way, I didn't have any kind of challenge or something like that, but maybe it's also the position help us as well. So when you have a very good high-end position, people do listen to you. And if you talk to them confidently, you know what you're talking about, you know how you're going to help the client, then they'll be like, okay, this is the company. She's the one who's going to make my event successful. So you see, so that's where we actually need to do it in a way.
Yeah, so I think I do understand that some people, they feel like when they throw, jargons, it makes them look smart. It makes them look like they know what they're talking about, but sometimes it's just a bit annoying. And I'm not saying men do it. I think some ladies also do it, but I've encountered more men doing it than women. So how about you, I Ching? Have you encountered any of that sort of discrimination?
No, I mean, I can barely think of any. If anything, just occasionally being outnumbered. That's the only thing that I can think about, but there's no discrimination.
Okay, yeah, I don't think it's that bad. Although, some stats are saying, like even the stats that I read out, it's just about being outnumbered. And I guess maybe a lot of women are maybe not courageous enough to actually go out there and go into technology because they feel like it's something so alien to them, I would say. But being discriminated, I think that exists in every industry. It's the same. It's not just in technology. So we're talking about women, like innovators like yourselves. Now I'm just going to go a bit further up in terms of female leadership roles that we have in our country. So this is just taking it, like on a bigger picture. What do you guys think of our female leaders in the country? And, like, what are just your thoughts? I Ching.
I do, of course, look up and almost like support them. So there's like the Yobins and, like all the political figures, as well as like Rafida Aziz and all that. So I think we do have some really good role models to like look up to, but it's just quite unfortunate that, that things, I mean, I don't know if me or, my children will ever get to the point of seeing this country have, for example, a woman, prime minister take over. That would be very interesting. I think there are some countries, interestingly, and those who apparently have handled the pandemic very well, I have actually usually been like, women or female prime ministers, but I felt that there are really already some good people. Obviously, again, they're outnumbered. Needless to say, it exists everywhere, not just in tech, like you mentioned. So yeah, I felt like for us as the Rakyat, like it's our role almost to root for them and really to support them because they go through a lot more than whatever we can even imagine. Yeah. So
I agree. And I love Rafida Aziz as well. Just the fact that, the things she says, sometimes she doesn't give, she doesn't care. And she just blasts out things. So that's really amazing. How about you, Anita? What do you think about our female leaders in the country?
I think I need to also agree with I Ching as well in a way, so we do have, but recently I think we do have female CEOs in Cradle. You have it in MDAC and also in Magic. So if you can look at it, they are actually young, so it is actually moving, but in a very slow pace in a way. So, it's not like moving that way. But we are also hoping for a female prime minister. So we have no idea when it's going to happen, So and as what also IT has also mentioned, like during the pandemic, the first time that it got hit, you would have seen at least 4 to 6 the presidents and prime ministers, the female president prime ministers are the one who actually made it, flatten the curve, brought down the COVID cases and all that. They were the first one to react, So the bigger guns, the big countries were all just, let's just wait and see. It will just vanish, So, but then instead of that, you just have so many cases out there. So in that way, I do agree in a way. So we are moving very slow. But we do have, but I don't think so. There's a lot of discrimination. It's just that the support that they have, they need to have a support. You can't just, stand there all alone and then standing in the middle of the street and say, I'm a leader, let's do this, So it has to have a support team. Like, for example, if you look at Greta, so she is more on, if she didn't get a platform for her to actually talk about how she feels about the environment, if she doesn't have the platforms, no one knows about her. Imagine if she's just standing in one street and just start shouting and talking about her ambitions and her passion and all that, no one is going to listen to her. But the platform is what we need, an opportunity for a female to actually showcase her knowledge, her expertise, her passion, then people will follow. So I guess it all starts from home, especially, and then from your colleagues, your family members, your relatives, your friends, and then basically you move up. And then that is possible to do it. So I'm also going to give you another example, as in, since I am actually love tennis and also sports, footballs and all kind of stuff. So let me give you an example, Wimbledon, I'm not sure how many watch. I know you have watched it before, so he is also a Wimbledon freak, tennis freak. So Wimbledon just completed Sunday. So you had Novak Djokovic, who is the winner. So right now you have 3 top: Federer, 20 Grand Slams. You have Rafael Nadal, 20 Grand Slams, and also Novak Djokovic, 20 Grand Slams. So it's a huge thing, It's like, wow, this is the greatest of all times, 20 Grand Slams. But then, do you know, in female tennis, Serena Williams has 23 Grand Slams, and Steffi Graf has 22 Grand Slams, but nobody talks about it. You see, but actually she is way better than the 3 of them. But then it's kind of like, oh, this is Roger Federer, this is Novak, he got 20, but nobody talks about it. And she actually got married, she got pregnant, she got a kid, and she still plays tennis. You see, so in a way, I think it's also more on the exposure. We as people or Rayat or anybody, we need to expose or to just talk about the female who wants to, go up, the leaders and all that. Then you have support. Even from men will support, but if you do not try to, get them to notice, it could be one person, but if somebody start talking about, oh, look at this female, they can do this, they can do that, So even in, I think Yasmin from Kisap, she actually posted something about football recently, where all the female students, I think the students, they were wearing sari.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Football, remember?
And that was in Penang.
In Penang, yes, I think it was in Penang. And then I was like, oh my God, but we didn't know. You see, somebody has to put it, somebody has to post it, and then you had supports and people was liking it. Oh my God, I didn't know that it actually exists. So this kind of thing has to have, I guess it's also from female. We as female has to actually, women have to actually, let's do this. We have to do that. We can't just sit laid back and then we probably see 1 or 2 posting and that's about it. So you need to talk about it. And then so when you do that, and then you'll get more women coming up and then introducing themselves. Most of them will say, oh, I don't think so anybody is going to support me. I'm just going to be myself. So you don't have to do that. So we have to just like go, and then get people to support as well. And that comes from both sides, men and also women.
And but I just want to disagree with, I think both of you mentioned that there's not much discrimination and stuff, but I feel like there is discrimination. It's just that it's very hidden and it's very entrenched in our culture, and so we accept it as something that's okay, in terms of people being let go for promotions, for example, because there's another person who is a male who is also in the running for that position, or not seeing a lot of women in positions because we feel, oh, only men can do it better because women has to stay home to care for the family. So I feel there is some hidden discrimination, and we're so used to it that we feel that this is how it's supposed to be, and so we say there's no discrimination, but these are things that we don't see, and these are things that we need to realize and to be aware of. And when you talked about female prime ministers being able to come out of the pandemic better than some countries with male leaders, a friend of mine who mentioned that female leaders are actually more, I guess, because of the motherly instincts, of the female instincts, we're more nurturing, we're more caring. And so we think of the benefit of the rakyat, or of people. Well, I'm sure there are other women out there who are not thinking that way. It's all for themselves. But this is something that is inborn, in us. So that's why our decisions as leaders are always towards that direction. And so in terms of business, let's talk about business for you, I Ching, and for Anita in Innovators. Do you think there's a benefit of having, at least an equal balance of women and men in the company? And what would be the benefit of having women in your team? For example, I Ching, do you have a thought on this?
Yes. So my leadership team is actually all women, except for my husband right now. It's not by purpose. I have to say that we don't look at, oh, if you're a woman, then we'll promote you, like the opposite of discrimination, basically. We're not looking at that. So basically, who's best for the role gets it. It has nothing to do with like the gender. However, I mean, that said, I personally, of course, really enjoy working, with the leaders the group of leaders that I have right now. And I also think that I have worked with some companies that are like partners or vendors that are almost like the leadership teams almost exclusively male. And that I could say I really could tell like huge differences in the way we operated. Even in simple things like, being in a meeting and then there's a lot, I don't say it's casual talk, but it's more reading, more warmth, almost like more focus on like relationship building and all that. Well, yeah, I felt that for very male-led organizations that doesn't really happen. I'm not generalizing because I have also looked up to a lot of organizations where the how do I put it, like it's run practically by men, and it's still very good. I mean, like in terms of like culture and everything, but those are rarer, I think, to find. So I felt that because people are such a huge asset to an organization, it helps to have like some women to kind of manage that part a little bit, because otherwise like it could all just be about work, results, like versus any form of like thinking about like strategy around people as well. So that's my take on it. But I do think in general it's good to have a balance. Like our organization is extremely balanced out everywhere apart from the engineering team. And like I mentioned, we were chatting yesterday, I said this as well, that I only have 2 female engineers and the rest are all males. But again, it's more like they're a rarity, you can't even find them. So yeah.
And that goes both ways. I feel like our office, all of us are ladies here, and we've got one man. And I feel like you also need to have a balance in terms of having males in your office, because when you have all females, then there's a different kind of problem that you're inviting. So all this PMS and hormones flying around. So I feel that the balance has to be both ways, and you need to have some testosterone as well to balance things up and sort of do, hey guys, chill, cool down, and just relax. So I find that the guys are able to do that in high tension situations. How about you, Anita? What do you think are the benefits of having women in your team?
I think I got to agree with you, Mona, as well, because I also believe in balance. Because previously, when I was working in the organizing events, we were 15 of us, and all are female, including the director, and then the finance, the whole team, you know, the office. So when we come in, and then it was nice at first, you know, like everybody is female, we go for lunch together, you know, we go in there. And then at one point we were like, oh gosh, this is like too much, you know, the stress level. And then the thing that you still want to have a kind of a balance part. And then so this was way long back, yeah. So don't quote me, yeah. So when you see a courier service guy walks into the office, we were like so ecstatic. Oh, there's a male in the office, you see. So it's kind of like you knew already that, you know, you need to have this balance, whereby, you know, trying to have this balance in check lah. So in Innovators, we actually have balance 50-50, and then it's able to for us to even when we do presentations, because we always have this, we call it as a stand-up meeting on a weekly basis. So we have all teams, so everybody needs to actually come up and then, okay, talk about what happens on this week. So it is a mixture of course, women and men, you know, because whoever hates the team, they need to talk about it, you know. So so this one is whenever it comes to coders, yeah. So coders presentation, okay. So coders presentation will be just like on the dot. This is what we did. Pop, 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 done. You know. But then when it comes to the women, we were like, you know, we have so many of the emotion going for, yes, we did this, we did that, you know. So it's kind of like, it's very different the way that we actually express versus how the men express. But I do agree with you as well, Mona. We should have, it has to have balance lah. You know, if not, it's just going to be like, oh, very boring, and then it's like, oh, what are we talking about? Gossip lah, gossip lah. You know, it's not really nice. You know, so we need to have balance lah. So I'm really lucky that we have that, and everybody can actually talk about pretty much anything. You know, so as what I've mentioned earlier as well, when sports, that doesn't mean that, oh, women. You know, so if somebody talks about sports, that doesn't mean that we don't know anything about it. You know, we will try to like, oh, I know about this guy, and then we're like, oh, okay, this is not bad, man. You know, so in a way, I think it's good to have balance. So,
yeah. And I need to draw you out on that part. You said gossip. You know, men actually gossip worse than us. You know that they actually, yeah, they gossip a lot, and maybe we don't know about that. And I actually find out, you know, about men who gossip. I'm like, oh my god, you guys are worse than us women. So yes, we do gossip, but then I think the men, oh, they also gossip, and it can be quite bad. So what are or who are your female inspirations or female leaders that you look up to, that, you know, sort of like, oh, I like how she's doing this and that? Anita, you want to go first?
I don't really have like female as in the leader and all that, because I think it actually comes from the resistance, the way that you actually bring up. So I got to bring back to my mom, even though, you know, she is, it has to be my mother, you know, on how she actually brought us up, you know. And then when my father is away, you know, working, and then those days was very different. Now you have mates at home. Those days, you know, she got to raise you, and then how you actually, she's actually a diabetic patient, and then the resilience, the way that she actually, you know, like right now we're talking about vaccinations, and then people giving you injections, and then you've noticed some of the videos are coming out whereby the man is like more afraid of the needles, you know, compared to women. And my mom takes it as a champ. You know, I am more afraid, because she's like, you know, she have gone in and out from hospitals and all that. And then I look at her and I was like, how can you be so strong? You know, just 70 plus. And in that way, I actually learned from the way, I mean, like, more on the strength, the get going, to not give up no matter whatever that's thrown at you in front. And then if it's all about your mental, so if you decided like, I want to do something, and then can you do it? You want to do it. It's all about you want it or you don't want it, you see. So it's more like for example, if I decided like, okay, I want to be a leader lah, you know, you got to work on it, right? You can't just simply say that, hey, how come I got no opportunities, but I want to be a leader lah, you know, cannot lah, you know. So that's impossible, you see. So I learned all that from my mom actually throughout, and of course I've also liked Angela Merkel, whereby she's very everybody respects her, you know, and there's no complaint about her, but she's very modest, you know. So that modesty also applies, where people will will like you in a way, she still stays in the same house, can you imagine, staying in the same house with me with them? Okay, I want to have a very nice multi-millionaire house and cars and all that, but she's so modest. So then already that what does she want, her ambition, so that goes back to the ambition. Am I okay? Am I right now in Evanescence? Am I good? Am I going to retire here? That's the question that everybody wants to know. Or am I deciding that I want to actually move up? I want to be a leader. I want to go into politics, for example. Do you want to do that? So it depends on who who's my inspiration, but it has to be my mom. If you ask
Yeah.
me, come to
Right.
that.
She sounds like an awesome lady.
Yeah.
And yeah, we should meet her one day. How about you, Aiching? Who do you draw inspiration from?
I have two persons in my mind. So one is actually a mentor whom I look up to a lot. So she runs an agency to basically help like Fortune 500 companies build presentations. She's been doing that for, I can't even remember, 40 years. I really cannot remember. And she's been doing that while, becoming a parent and then like becoming grandparents afterwards. And she also runs a company with her husband. And I just really admire everything about her tenacity and, her grit, and also how much she really cares about people. And she personally has taught me a lot about, storytelling as well. So that's one. The other person whom I also think uses storytelling to her advantage, and also it's just who she is, and she does this really well. And not surprisingly, I'm going to say Jacinda Ardern. I think she's one of the best communicators in the world. Literally, she always. I know she runs a slightly smaller country, but then there are a lot of still tough challenges, and she's just always overcome everything. And same thing, also raised a family while running a country at the same time. I think she's very inspirational. So yeah, all of these people. And the thing that I really highlight is actually that storytelling comes, as a honed or like as something that they may already have it quite strong, but they really use it to their advantage. I think women have that ability quite well, and they if they use it and nurture it, it really becomes a very powerful tool in their lives.
I do agree. Actually, storytelling, as a leader, it can be a really great tool for you to talk to your people, to your team members. And in marketing, you need storytelling a lot. And in business, you need to do a lot of marketing and storytelling. Now we've come to about the last 10 minutes of our show. And I don't want to keep people for too long, but what advice would you give to the next gen if they're thinking about, going to technology, and well, how should they start? Anita, maybe you start on this.
Yeah, I think it's more on, do not get intimidated when you want to go to a technology industry, or even you want to study, you'd say, this is me, I don't want to do it. So even for secretaries, I know there is secretaries kind of what do you call it, syllabus or modules, so kind of thing. So the man will be like automatically, I don't want to do this, so do not get intimidated. If you want to do it, just follow your passion, go in, give it a try, so it is okay for you to actually test it out, because technology, is what I've mentioned earlier as well, it has a lot of spectrum. You probably will go in, maybe you don't like coding, but maybe you like something else within the technology inside, so just follow your heart, put all the efforts there, do some research, find out what's up there running in trends right now, all that, and then give it a try, so don't be shy away. So as what I told you, the motto, like, the worst thing is going to happen, you see, probably you'll just have an additional expertise that you have actually learned, and maybe you don't like it, you just switch, so that's it, don't be shy away, just go for it.
Yeah, great stuff. Just go for it, guys. And how about Aichi?
Yeah, I think earlier in the conversation I mentioned about reading and learning a lot. I think that it happens like, for whether you're beginning to like just begin in your, career as an entrepreneur, or even 10 years later, you still have to be learning and reading a lot. So that's like one thing, like always be humble and always keep learning, because they'll never come to a point where you know everything, never.
Yep.
And the other thing for young, like, or, you know, people who are just beginning to start out or planning to start their own thing, I always recommend, please validate, because you can fall in love with an idea. And I've done that mistake many, many times. Like, I fell in love with an idea, but I failed to validate it. And because I failed to validate it, usually you are throwing, you know, kind of money into the sea, kind of like, if I could put it that way, like you're you're not doing the right thing. So, you know, help your business, help yourself, like cut the heartaches and the losses earlier. If you keep validating, then you won't run into that problem. So
I agree with you, and I think the danger is a lot of people don't know what they don't know. And some people don't even bother to find out, or to know even that they don't know a lot of things. And I think reading will actually make you realize that. I've got one comment. It's also a loaded question, I guess. It's from Suhaini. Gender equality is unfortunately still a taboo, even in well-developed countries, right? We women will never stop fighting to make our stands in almost every industry, but some industries still run like it's a man's world. So it's a man's world out there. What else can we do to make the world a better place for women in whatever industry we are already in, or like yours, or would be in future? So I think this is a loaded question. So Heini, thanks for pointing it out. And I think this would require another session just to discuss this. What can we do to make the world a better place for women? There's a lot of things we can do. But I don't think we have time to cover it today. And perhaps we can actually just post it on our Facebook, what you think about how you can make the world a better place for women, starting with, Sarawak, Penang, or, wherever you are right now, actually. And yes, thank you for the kind words, or the words of encouragement that you guys gave to the next gen. I really agree with that. I support reading. I'm all for that. I think that's the most important thing. And you should just go for it. But you should also validate whatever you're going for, so that you don't waste time and money. And thank you guys. Thanks Anita and I Ching for being with us on the show. I try to keep it to 1 hour, because you get Zoom fatigue, whatever fatigue and all that. So we try to keep it short. And thanks for joining us today as well on Zoom and on Facebook. I know you guys are on Facebook right now, the audience. And yep, so I hope to see you guys in our next edition. Thank you to Anita and I Ching for being with us, and thank you to our partners, TV Sarawak, Chic and Digital Sarawak, for airing this for us. So until then, stay safe, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you, everyone.
See you, I Ching.
Bye.
See you, Anita.
bye bye.